Joining us now for reaction is Willie Aucamp, the DA national spokesperson. Mr. Aucamp, thank you so much for your time and for joining us this evening. Now, a little over an hour ago, the president finally addressed the nation with regards to what many call a crisis, given the number of cases and also the number of children that have died due to eating snacks from these spaza shops. What's the DA's reaction to this?
Good evening to you. Well, firstly, the DA sees tonight's address from the President dealing with the issue of foodborne illness as a first step to addressing a tragic state of affairs which should not have been allowed to happen in the first place. It is absolutely tragic that 22 children had died in this regard. It's a tragedy for everyone in South Africa, and our hearts goes out to the parents and the families of those children. The DA is particularly in support of the call to conduct door-to-door inspections of all spaza shops. We think that is long overdue. There are way too many shops that are not adhering to health regulations, that are selling products that they've bought in bulk or that they got, in some cases, illegally, and they are then redistributing those products without adhering to all the required health aspects thereof. So we welcome the measures that the President have announced tonight.
So my colleague Masakekane a little earlier on spoke to Action SA, and their response is that they believe that the interventions mentioned by the President are just not enough, that punitive action should have been taken against those spaza shops where the children have died. What do you believe, government? I mean, you speak of the door-to-door campaigns that should be taking place, but what do you really think needs to be done as a low-hanging fruit in order for this scourge to be averted?
Well, I think the first and most important thing is to save lives. Before we go on spree to get people arrested and charged, the main thing now must be to save lives. And I think that is what the President has announced tonight. Yeah, it is late in the day with regards to the announcements, but let's start at some point. And that is what the measures that the President has announced must now have the effect of. So we hope that this will be implemented immediately. The most important thing now is to make sure that spaza shops that are in operation does not sell items to the public out there that can be harmful to them. And in the process, I am quite sure that if people broke the law, that there will be prosecution of that. And that must happen parallel to this as well. But the main aim and focus must now be on saving the lives of people that might still be exposed to pesticides or products that are beyond the expiry date and that can be harmful to them.
So speaking of that main aim, I mean, they speak directly to the interventions that the President made mention of, that getting the pesticides off the streets, protecting children from future exposure and preventing future outbreaks. Do you think that there's a strong enough workforce on the ground that can implement these?
Well, further to what has been announced, the presidency must engage with local governments and with provincial governments to increase the number of permanently employed environmental health practitioners. The current statistics show that the permanently employed health practitioners are at 1,712, where that figure should be 6,203. So I think it's very important to make sure that the adequate manpower is there to address this. There will be help from the police as well as the military that will assist military health practitioners. And then it is extremely important that we must note that the reason why we are where we are is due to the failure of local governments to produce proper refuse removal and health safety to the people that are living in their areas. We heard the President speaking about rats and rodents due to the fact that sewage removal and waste removal does not take place properly. And I think that is on the long term, the main thing that needs to be addressed. We've got to address the service delivery issues that we've got in our townships. I visit townships to the north of Kuruman, where I come from, very often. And it is always disheartening to see that there is absolutely no sewage and services, and no removal of rubbish and rubble that are there. So we need to address that. And then obviously it is the responsibility of local government to make sure that they've got health practitioners in place to go and visit those shops regularly, not only now when there's a problem, but there must be regular health inspections. If people know that they are going to be inspected, they will very more unlikely break the law. So, but we know that that has not happened in the past, and we hope that what has been announced tonight by the president will show the urgency of this and will assist in permanently applying these measures.
Just speaking on the removal of refuse, and possibly just speaking from a point of experience as the DA, when the party was in government in the city of Ekurhuleni, a lot of the times townships within that area complained about the removal of refuse. What would you say were some of the challenges that your party encountered in ensuring that refuse is removed timeously so that we do avoid situations such as rat infestations?
I think the biggest problem that we inquired was 28 or 25 years of dereliction of duty in those municipalities that we have inherited. If you go and you look at Midvaal and Mfuleni, two municipalities right next to each other. Midvaal is a DA-run municipality. Refuse removal is taking place regularly. There's no complaints. Right next door in Mfuleni, you've got an ANC-run municipality, and we saw the complaints coming from that side. If you look at what is happening now, there is no deaths and no complaints in the Western Cape where the DA governs. So it is something that we have inherited, and it takes time to get that right. But I think if we throw the manpower after this, and the people that are employed in those jobs really take earnest of their task and their responsibility, and make sure that they do regular health inspections, and make sure that refuse removal from a municipality side is done properly and timeously, it will have a huge effect. We can address, and we must address, the issue of the spaza shops, as the president did tonight. But we will not win this fight in the long term if we are going to keep on not delivering services, especially refuse removal, that create huge health hazards to the people in our townships and in our areas in the country where all the people live.
And lastly, just your take on then the joint funding announced by the president, the 500 million rands that will be established by the DTI and the Department of Small Business. Do you think that will assist in terms of ensuring that small businesses within the townships that would be operating legally would be able to provide services in the right regulations?
That will help. I think it's just very important to note also that the president has announced that spaza shops and informal traders need to be registered. And it's only registered spaza shops and informal traders that will qualify for that. So the moment that you are registered and you are doing your business legally, you might qualify for assistance to make sure that the health and the safety regulations of your shop is being required and is adhered to. And I think it is a step in the right direction. We must make sure that people that really qualifies for that will get that money, and must make sure that there are no corruption creeping in, as we have seen so many times in the past. But it is a step in the right direction. We really ask from the DA side the cooperation of every spaza shop owner in this country. The spaza shops is a multi-billion rand industry that provides a huge service to a lot of South Africans on a daily basis. The initial request to have all spaza shops banned and closed down would have had devastating effects on the people of South Africa. And we are glad that only the spaza shops that has been implicated in this are going to be shut down, and the measures that has been put in place to make sure that those shops that are then in operation are adhering to health requirements. That is very important. But as I said, it's a two-tier system. We've got to address the health issues now, but we've got to address the health risks that are created in the future and has been created in the past by the non-delivery of services in most municipalities in this country.
All right.